Top of the Sportsmax Zone for this Monday. Round 31 in the English Premier League ended earlier on Monday with Crystal Palace hosting Champions League chasing Arsenal at Selhurst Park. And we have those highlights.
Hung up by Gallagher and headed in by Mateta. Crystal Palace take the lead.
Palace that break the deadlock. Curling effort from Conor Gallagher. It's plenty of air on it, there to be attacked.
Got all the way through for number 2 for Jordan Ayew.
Well, it's a brilliant finish. He's actually tried to do this a couple of times already. He gets himself out wide and then tries to exploit that gap between Gabriel and Tavares. And Anderson's got great vision and great ability to pick him out.
Nketiah, cleared by Mitchell. Palace could do with keeping the ball further forward, and a lucky break for Zaha. He's got no support, and maybe he's the kind of player that doesn't need support. Wilfried Zaha looking for something sensational here at Selhurst Park, and that would include a penalty after a run like that. Paul Tierney had a think about it, and it does include a penalty. And Zaha to make it 3, and he does unerringly.
Aaron Ramsdale the wrong way, and it's a really commanding lead that Palace have.
Position, defending infield. Gallagher's turned into trouble again. 1 or 2 spots of bother through that. That looked a foul on Milivojevic. Well, Eddie Nketiah so close to his first Premier League goal of the Odegaard might as well have a go here. Granit Xhaka, it disappears into jubilant Palace fans. And it's been a perfect night for Crystal Palace. And Patrick Vieira against the club he graced for so long as a player.
It was a really good team performance. There's games where we perform it well, but we didn't take our chances. We didn't score that goals. But today, from the start, we started really well. We put them under pressure. We managed to score that first goal, which gave us even more confidence. And we managed to win the game, and we didn't concede the goal. So it was a really good team performance.
From the beginning, I think we weren't at the races, and when you come here, you have to compete, you have to win duels, win second balls, you have to be aggressive, you have to be physical, and we were none of that. And on top of that, we were really poor on the ball. We gave a lot of balls away, a lot of simple balls, and we had no control. So when that happens in the Premier League now, you lose the game. We concede a set piece, we concede another sloppy goal, and when you want to react in the second half, it's too late.
Yeah, really good result there for Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace, 3-0. They had beaten Everton by 4-0 in an FA Cup match in late March, and back in February there was a 4-1 win over Watford as well. So when they're hot, Crystal Palace, they score goals. Let's have a quick look at the matches for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday in the English Premier League. Liverpool at home 2-0 over Watford. Manchester City winning 2-0 away at Burnley. Chelsea beaten 4-1 at home by Brentford. That was the result of the weekend. Brighton 0 with Norwich. Leeds 1-1 with Southampton. Wolves winning at home 2-1 over Aston Villa. Manchester United held at home 1-1 by Leicester City. West Ham 2-1 over Everton. And Tottenham by 5-1 over Newcastle. So really big weekend of football. Manchester City with their 2-0 victory, maintaining a 1-0 lead over Liverpool, who were also 2-0 winners. They have this huge lead over third place Chelsea, who are way back on 59 points. Tottenham 54, Arsenal 54. Arsenal with an opportunity today to move into the top 4, and missing out today following that result against Crystal Palace. But Mariah and George, before we look at the battle for a top 4 spot, a word on Patrick Vieira and what he's been able to do with this Crystal Palace team. Still in the embryonic stages of his coaching career. Had coached Manchester City's sister club, New York FC, in the MLS as his first major coaching assignment. Left there, went to Nice. By the way, he did an okay job at New York FC, went to Nice in Ligue 1, didn't do well at all. He lost the job based on poor results. But he's been doing a fabulous job at Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and the results speak for itself. I know we like to talk about the top four, and we spend a lot of time, you know, discussing the teams in the top four. Crystal Palace, they're ninth in the Premier League table right now. But Lance, the point, you know, the question that you posed to George and myself about the work that he has done at the club, it's definitely showing. And today's result against Arsenal is a perfect example of that showing itself. You know, the team, as Mikel Arteta was talking about, Arsenal was not aggressive. They had no control on the ball. All these things describe actually how Crystal Palace were. They were very, very aggressive in play. They had a lot of control on the ball. And I get the sense that they are thriving under his leadership. And if he continues doing what he's doing, then Crystal Palace might be one of the teams that we talk about, at least if not in the top 4, the top 5 or top 6 very soon.
Yeah, George, your thoughts on Patrick Vieira and what he's been able to do as a coach?
Yeah, it's a good job. We must remember that the job Roy Hodgson did with this team when he had it was also a very good job with players of lesser caliber than Vieira's had the benefit of having no Conor Gallagher to boss the midfield for Roy Hodgson in the way that he has bossed it for Patrick Vieira. What is also true is that Vieira has had the benefit of a fit Wilfried Zaha for a good chunks of the campaign this time. Okay, so he hasn't had Eberezer fit for most of the games, but Zaha and other players have made up for the absence of the young Englishman. So it's not a duff squad that he took charge of. Roy Hodgson did well with this Crystal Palace team without the additions that I've shown for Patrick Vieira. What is true is that next season people will start to demand more. The expectations will go up. The players will have been there for a season. And I've seen this movie so many times where you have a manager with a team like Crystal Palace and its profile, and they have a good showing one season, maybe finish top 10 or top 12. Then they come next season and those players were the first season impressions out of the way, they flatline. And the challenge will be different. So he's going well in this season. You can't criticize him for what hasn't happened. You have to judge him on what has happened. He's done well with an improved squad of players at his disposal. He has the confidence of Steve Gibson and the others in the boardroom at Crystal Palace. And you're seeing that from a bunch of players who are highly motivated. Fact is, some of those who have been key players from him this year will be going back to their parent clubs off loans next season. Gallagher will be gone. Either Chelsea will take him back to play for them or they'll sell him to somebody. And I'm sure, even with the success that he's had at Crystal Palace, Gallagher, he wouldn't choose to play for Crystal Palace if he had an option of clubs to go to, the top clubs in England. So it will be a different challenge, but that's a time to come. That's something to contend with when the time comes. For now, you have to doff your cap to Patrick for the job he's done.
Yeah, and having said all of that, how jolting was the Arsenal loss today? They would have expected to get something out of this game, given their desire to press for a top 4 spot.
Well, actually, that is what I thought we would have been discussing because, you know, as of recent, Arsenal's turnaround has been, you know, one that a lot of us has been in awe of. You know, we've been looking at the work that Mikel Arteta has been doing, so much so that the Arsenal that we discussed at the top of the English Premier League is a different Arsenal. When we talk now, we've been talking about things like improvement, the team's chemistry, just gelling, getting together. But today we saw none of that. And again, it goes back to the fact that Arsenal, I remember when I joined the Sports Mag Zone, all we spoke about was them being inconsistent. Today they're good, tomorrow they're not. Today it brought back flashes of that for me.
Yeah, I think perhaps it is that some of the praise we've been giving them over the week has been excessive. Here's why. Arsenal were not built to be scrapping with the likes of Crystal Palace. When I say scrapping, to be playing well against Crystal Palace and attracting plaudits for that. Even though they started the season knowing that they weren't a part of the Champions League picture, the players that they had before, this was a team built to be challenging for a title or to be challenging for European places or for the FA Cup or for the League Cup or for the other competitions. So that's the squad that he took into this non-Champions League playing season. With the size of squad that they have, the quality of players that they have, you ought to expect the best from Arsenal. So it's in a perverse way. The quality of squad that they started the season with, Aubameyang has left, we know that, but the quality of squad they started the season with, what they eventually are doing now would have been expected. But because of their own inconsistencies now, we're praising them for performances that should have been par for the course for the Gunners. Because if you notice, the Gunners aren't a threat to the top 4, the top 3 in the table. They aren't a threat to City, to Liverpool, or to Chelsea. It's the other teams that they have reaped success against, especially those in the lower half of the table. So it's an inflated praise. It's inflated praise that we're giving to Arsenal because they've been so inconsistent. But with the quality of squad they have, they really ought to be making a serious fight for 4th place, as they are now, rather than to be flatlining, and a good run of games gets people talking about oh well Arteta has done, how brilliant these players are. These players were intended to be very good in the first place.
Yeah, there are 5 teams at the moment in the 50s in point standings, and a couple of them lost this weekend, including Chelsea, who are 3rd in the table at the moment, which intensifies this top 4 spot, top 4 race. Arsenal slipping as well today, West Ham among those winning on the weekend. I'm not sure how many Man United fans are still harbouring hopes, but they failed to get a win, which would have helped their cause. But the top 4 race looks very interesting, especially with the 3rd place Chelsea having such a dismal weekend.
Yeah, I was actually very, very shocked at Chelsea's result. And not only the result, because the result is one thing, but the fact that Lance and George, Chelsea's defence has been their strength throughout the entire campaign. It's what, when we describe Chelsea, or we spoke about a performance, we'd always discuss the strength of their defence and their players and their goal-scoring abilities. What I saw this weekend was none of that. There appeared to be no defence, and now I'm wondering about their goal-scoring capabilities, because I feel as if the goals are very, very hard to come by. Chelsea used to evoke a lot of fear in other teams, you know, when you're playing them and whatnot. Now Chelsea is just a regular team.
Well, it's funny you say that, because they've not been prolific all season, because we know that the difficulties that Lukaku caused on himself. He took a while to get going. Then with that infamous interview, he's been in and out of the team, hasn't been scoring. We know that Timo Werner doesn't score goals. If you look at some of the best results Chelsea have had in the past, say, 7 to 8 weeks, some 1-0 Hakim Ziyech scoring, or somebody else scoring, somebody who's not a prolific goal scorer, and the men that they pay the big money to are not delivering week in, week out for them. So Chelsea's situation is one where every team, it happens year after year, every team has a blip in the run into the season. Brentford's result was their blip result. So I don't think people should start fretting about whether Chelsea or not whether Chelsea can hold on to 3rd place, or they can do well in the competitions that they're still alive in. They're still alive in the Champions League. They're dangerous there. So yeah, every team will have a blip in the running, because every team has a blip in the running, especially in a competitive league as the EPL. This is not Germany or one of those other competitions where it's a one-horse race with a middling other team to give the big boy some worries here and there. Any team in England can turn up and beat you, whether at your home or at their home. So Chelsea, I believe, had their blip on Sunday, and I'm not worried about them. But the fact is that Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, not even Chelsea this season, Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea have not been free scoring. That's the concern we had about them heading into the business end of the Champions League last season, which is why for some people going up against Man City in the final, it would have been a City walkover, because they were mechanical, they were functional, but they weren't blowing teams away. So it's the same Chelsea that has come this season. He tried to cure that. He bought Lukaku for £96 million, but it hasn't worked out. So yeah, Tuchel's Chelsea have never been free flowing, have never been blowing teams out of the water. Yeah. They just had a bad result.
Yeah. At the risk of over-analysing, though, could we point to their midweek fixture against Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League as interfering with their domestic game, and may have had something strategically to do with how they played on the weekend?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because guess what? The players themselves, in preparing for the game, the training sessions, how they be prepared. If this game hadn't come, Chelsea would have had a free run until the next Premier League game on the weekend. So it is that these things are always a distraction for some clubs, some coaches. This motivates players. They mix up the team a little bit, and the fringe players come in and they give the performance that's required, because they want to catch the eye for a Champions League game, and they do when the team does well. Sometimes the reverse happens. The reverse happened to Chelsea on the weekend. I think it was a bad, well, I think it was a bad result. It was a bad result.
Yes, it was.
But I think there are extenuating circumstances. Chelsea will be fine.
Yeah, the title race now continues to be hot. Manchester City with victory, Liverpool step for step with them. Before we talk about that, though, the big Spurs victory, a lot being said. Conte, the coach, now suggesting that he's finally now getting, you know, the team to play the way he wants them to play, which indicates that, as far as he's concerned, we can expect more from Tottenham.
Yeah, well, Tottenham have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games, which, I mean, we like to say numbers speak for itself. The players look happier, you know, 5 goals over the weekend, so that's a lot of goals from their team. So I think Conte is saying all the right things, and the team coming together at this point in time, definitely challenging for a top 4 spot.
Every time they win a game, he speaks of the positives and it's all coming together. When they lose, he laments how difficult the job is. No, but we have to call it out for the visitors, for the viewers. Whenever he wins, he says, yes, the project is coming together, the players are responding. When they lose, I need more players, the squad isn't good enough. So it was a poor performance from Newcastle, make no mistake about it. Spurs exploited them in the way that you should when you get a weak team. I will never criticize teams for beating teams who put in weak performances, because that's what you are supposed to do to teams who turn up and are not at their best. And right now, they are favourites for 4th place. Make no mistake about that. It's in their hands. And I like him, I was very enthused by the manner of their victory. But I'm not seeing it as Tottenham turning any corner. Tottenham are Tottenham. Spurs are Spurs. And to hear him talk negatively about the team, just wait until the next defeat that they suffer, and you'll hear that from him in his post-match
You know what,
press
George
conference.
is making a good point, and no, Mariah, you're laughing, but wasn't
was
it the Man United loss that they had?
Yes.
That he had a horrific picture that he painted about the team and the
players
players.
were very pleased about it.
Yeah.
And he also suggested in his interviews that the players he got in the January transfer window, including Kulusevski, who he's praising to high heavens, those were the players he wanted.
And that was less than a month ago.
And that's why I'm laughing, because it just reminds me of Jose.
And quickly, you take the last 45 seconds, because we're running out of time, because Manchester City are keeping Liverpool at bay, at least for now.
By 1 point, which isn't a very good bay to be at. Let me just say that. I think it's very, very nerve-wracking to be a Manchester City fan at this point in time, because Liverpool literally on our necks, and one slip-up, which Manchester City has been slipping up from time to time, Liverpool will be up to number 1.
Yeah, okay. George, any comment?
Well, we analysed this extensively last week.
Yeah.
A point is enough, because teams have won the Premier League with goal difference in the past. So a point is a lot.
Yeah.
Right now?
Remember, the English Premier League is on the Sportsmax app, courtesy of the Rush channels, which you can pick up on the Sportsmax app. We go to break. Still a lot more football to talk about on the Sportsmax zone, and NBA and cycling as well. Back in a moment.
Keep watching Sportsmax on YouTube for live and exciting sports. Subscribe to Sportsmax on cable and download the Sportsmax app to watch anytime, anywhere.